Hi guys. On the phone for a second, but let's start this. This is obviously the Q&A, but let's start this off right. Happy Friday, everyone, and welcome to the Lazy Redhead. If you don't know, it just gets weirder every time, and I don't doubt that in a year's time it's gonna be batshit crazy. I'm making up a tea because this is going to be a long one. I'm going to perch you. Let's see if I can perch you there. Oh, dead at. It's going to be a long one because people have not only asked, oh, where are you going? Don't be rude. I was talking. Yeah, it's going to be a long one because people have asked questions upon questions, which is amazing. The engagement has been far more than I ever anticipated. In fact, we can all thank Stephanie, for this video. She was the one that said, I know what would be good. She said, you've got a big enough following now that I think people will engage with a cheeky Q&A. And I was like, really? I put the option out there. She wasn't wrong. She was not wrong. And some of the questions were really fun. I've answered every single one of your questions. I've done it in order that they were written in. So I think it's the most recent. I've just basically cut and pasted the entire comments section to pages or Word. And I've answered them. I've written my answers because, you know, I'll get confused. My answers will change on any given day. I know that that's probably the same with most of us. I'm quite a eclectic person as people go. So my mind changes like the weather. The weather, rainy, horrible, gross. The weather has been absolutely terrible. I had planned to do this video a picnic style. So like be out and about. Oh, I'll put you down. Where are you? There you are. To be out and about and have a picnic and be nice weather and blankets. Maybe do a bit of plein air stuff, drawing, sketching. That's my dog. Can you please? Mommy's talking. But we are on a tight schedule. Bollocks. We are on a tight schedule, so unfortunately we can't wait for the perfect weather, because I thought it would be a nice change from the very uninspiring and quite bland studio. But it wasn't to be, was it? It wasn't to be. So here we are. I'm going to do my best to make it as entertaining as possible and visually inspiring. So I have downloaded loads of images of my questions. So for example, favourite flower was one of them, tree, plant, animals, or a list of animals. So I'll drop images in throughout. Okay, we're back in the studio. I'm going to put you on the other camera so it's more professional, but my backdrop is nothing but that. Soz, guys, soz. Welcome back, obviously. I've just shut this door a little bit. Maybe that makes a difference. No, it still looks crap. I've got my questions here. I have written some notes down, so if I read, it's just going to be uncomfortable, right? Because I'm terrible at reading. We all know what it's like. I think this light is too bright. 1 second. There's a light behind you. I feel like I'm overexposed a little bit. Is that better? Is that better? Okay, yeah, that's good. Okay, we have MC Blakemore. This question is, if you could paint abstracts, what other type of... Can't even get that right. Cannot even get that right. It's there. If you couldn't paint abstracts, what other type of art/style would you be proficient? Oh, would you want to be proficient? This is just going to be a nightmare. Okay, right. Let's start again. Right. But you're regretting doing this now. Okay. If you couldn't paint abstracts, what other type of art style would you want to be proficient in? Okay, so I'm going to answer this question as if I've just won the lottery. And I'm going to say installational work, immersive pieces. I love installational work and I like sculpture, but more importantly, I love anything that's socially engaged. I like people to get involved. I like people to be immersed in an experience. And curating. I loved curating exhibitions. I found something so beautiful. Again, I think it's that idea of working with other artists, other creatives, to come together and create this single moment, this single experience. I love that. I really enjoy that. So that's what I would do. Installation artwork, socially engaged work again, and curating. Next we have Hedda Weeks. She has 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. Okay, 5. Greedy. You're not the greediest though. I think Crab Sketch is the greediest by far. Okay, first one. What's your favourite colour combination? Pastel tones and earth tones. Love them. Love, love, love. They bring me so much joy and happiness, and they are completely opposed to one another. And when you combine the two, there's just something so yummy in that. So definitely those two. What's your favourite texture to create? This is a two-part, and this is a common theme with me. I always like to have 2 or 3. That's not going to change throughout this. In no particular order, surface / actual texture like sand paste and other types of like gel mediums. And the other would be simulated texture. So grass, I love. I love water, things like that. That's defo my vibe. What time of day do you enjoy creating the most? Anytime. Anytime that the inspiration strikes,
Please stop squeaking down there.
Anytime the inspiration strikes, really, you just kind of have to jump on it, because certainly if you have bouts of uninspired phases, which we all get and they're completely normal, you can't then wait, just whenever, literally jump on it. What's the most recent thing you've learned as an artist? Be open to change. I've answered this, be open to change. And that is self-imposed changes I make and the inevitable outcome and what that might be, which you have no control over, I might add, well, very little. And also the changes that are imposed on us and the inevitable outcome. I would say just continuously go with the flow, be open to that change. What's the hardest part about painting, creating outside? The lack of bathrooms, the lack of facilities. I know there's things like Wishes, but trust me, they are not practical. You need to practice that crap in the bath. I'm not kidding, right? I know that sounds disgusting. And if you don't know what one is, Google it. You know exactly what I'm on about. Thank you so much for those questions. We're moving on now to Melissa Martin. Thanks, Melissa. You're a doll. You're an absolute doll. Okay, so Melissa has got 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10. No, 9. 9 questions. Greedy, but thank you so much. I also appreciate it. Favourite art medium? Anything that causes a mess is what I've written. I think it's very unfair for you to try and pigeonhole me into one medium, one colour. I can't do it, right? I just can't. So that gives you an idea of the next series of questions. Favourite subject or thing to draw / paint? Nature. And that is because there's no right or wrong way, I think. Nature is very organic. Most marks you make, you can never really make a mistake in nature, really. It's not the same as doing still life. You still have to make that thing look like the thing you're painting, in a manner of speaking. It depends on your particular approach or style, but ultimately, if you're painting a jug, it's going to look like a jug, right? That's what I mean. In nature, those same rules don't apply, and I love that freedom. I hope that answered your question. Okay, what? Sketchbook, canvas, or loose paper? I'm going to be fair and answer this. I'm going to say loose paper. And the reason is because I feel it's the best of both worlds. I always find sketchbooks to be those times where maybe it's a new medium you're testing out and you feel that maybe being on loose paper or even like canvas is too intimidating. You have to perform at a canvas, don't you? But with a sketchbook, it's kind of behind closed doors, isn't it? In your shower, just you and the steam and the hairbrush, mirror, that kind of vibe. But loose paper, it's out of a sketchbook, so it's independent of, obviously, a sketchbook. So I would say loose paper. Favourite colour? It ain't happening, Melissa. Don't even bother. It ain't happening. I could bet I just about did tones, right? The colour, No. Colour's such an emotive thing, you know. I couldn't even tell you, right, well, my colour is today, because I just don't.
No.
I just can't. Love ya. Ain't gonna happen. Do you collect anything? Right, so this is quite a funny one. I have an extremely addictive personality. So with that, I might have a penchant for pyjamas one week, a penchant for inks another week, a penchant for rugs another week, right? Certainly if I find something I love, I adore, there's this need in me to consume and have it all in every colour, pattern, shape, it doesn't matter, right? I need everything, all of it. All the time, more, until I get bored or until I find something else that takes my fancy. That requires extreme mental restraint on my part. So that's one quirk, I would say, about me that can be quite dangerous. I collect everything and nothing. Favourite comfort movie? I've got two. Casper the Friendly Ghost. I love that movie. Every time I think, right, I'm going to go home, I'm going to get under the covers, I'm going to watch a movie with some munchies and a big cup of cocoa, the movie that comes to mind instantly, Casper the Friendly Ghost. And my favourite movie, Dirty Dancing. Love Dirty Dancing. Dirty Dancing. Love it. So, Casper the Friendly Ghost and Dirty Dancing. What's something people would be surprised to know about you? There's a few things, but most recently I was doing a one-to-one and I had told this person that I'm dyslexic. Which I have mentioned many a time on this channel. It's a fact about me that a lot of people think that that's not true, and trust me, trust me, it is. I struggle to read and write. Some of you may have had orders from me, and I'm more than likely unaware, but some of them I am aware. When I've written the thank you notes, the personalised notes that people get anytime they order off from me, that there more than likely will be spelling mistakes or grammatical errors and things like that. I do my best. But it's never 100%. There will always be something wrong. I bet you're all going to find that note now and check. Yeah. I know. What's your karaoke song? Now, I don't do karaoke, but I'm going to do it in the spirit in which it's intended. Let's say I am absolutely pissed as a fart. Let's say that. I'm just kind of setting a scene for you, okay? So let's say I was just completely inebriated. In those circumstances, game on. Right? In that case then, the whole Dirty Dancing soundtrack, any of them, whack it on the screen. I don't even need the screen, just start playing the tune and I'll know exactly what to do. You're in safe hands. Yeah, Dirty Dancing soundtrack. Or Disney, obviously. What do you look forward to? Or what are you looking forward to? Sorry. What are you looking forward to? Okay, there's a couple here actually. Moving house. So I think we'll start with the most recent thing, I suppose. Moving house. Totally looking forward to moving house. I think I need the change. I'm looking forward to the challenge of doing my own renovation. Certainly I'm going to take more of an involved approach this time than I did with this one. I am working on a new art project. It's kind of like a pronged approach. One side is obviously starting to film now for the Sellable workshop I want to create. Patrons are going to get an expose on that in a couple of weeks' time. They're going to be sort of drip-fed pilot scenes or pilot sections, and we're probably going to have to hash out some of that. So that's starting. And also I am starting a new art project, which I will do a dedicated video on, and it will require also probably doing a podcast. My first podcast, which I'm excited about, Lazy Redhead After Dark. I don't know where I'm going to be posting that just yet, but that is coming because the person I wanted to kick the podcast off with is part of this new art project. I know it's Cloak and Daggers, guys, Cloak and Daggers, and I'm sorry to leave you on a bit of a cliffhanger, but can't give everything away because there's loads of details you're going to want from me, and I don't know. You're going to love it. Let me just tell you that now. Stephanie's questions next. I think Stephanie's got five questions. Thanks, Steph, you're a legend. First question, what are your top 3 favourite artists of all time and why? So I've chosen 2, unfortunately, because I didn't read the question properly. What do you want from me? First of all, Grayson Perry, and second artist is Tracey Emin. And the reason I chose these 2 people, I am not necessarily aspire to be them or aspire to be anywhere close to their fame or their notoriety. It's nothing to do with that. It's about their approach and their outlook on art and life in general. That's what attracts me to anyone. It's all very well and good being able to create something that I visually or love to experience as, you know, from an aesthetical point of view, okay? That's one thing. The other side of it for me is you as a person. I may not necessarily enjoy your work the same way I would other artists, but I might not want to meet that other artist. Do you know what I mean? But I would love to have a conversation with Grayson Perry, and I would love to have a conversation with Tracy M if that's what I'm inspired by. Okay, next. What has been your single most rewarding experience in life? I've chosen two, and you might be surprised by them, but one, marrying my husband. And the reason is because he's like an anchor for me. He keeps me grounded. I keep him grounded somehow, I have no idea, but he does. He keeps me grounded, but gives me enough room to be myself. It's something very valuable when you're as neurotic as I am, and as an individual behind the screen, I am a difficult human being, and it's something I am working on. I am in therapy for, right? But he's just so accepting of me in every way. He's the only person on this entire planet that's never ever made me feel bad about being the way I am. And I never feel lonely. You know, as soon as I met him, I was like, right. And I don't feel lonely. So, you know, we can have all these things in life, a great career, big house, loads of money, the best car in the world. But if you don't have anyone truly to experience any of it with, what's the point? And the second one was starting this channel, because this channel has changed my life immensely. I've been able to have a practice that I would never have or would never have thought of having had it not been for this channel. I wouldn't have you guys. I've met some amazing people, you know, through this channel, because of this channel. Can't even imagine my life without the community anymore, you know? Yeah, I'll never be alone. What inspired you to be an artist? Nothing really. I've always been creative. My first exhibition was at the age of 5, right? I've just always loved colouring in, loved texture. It was the thing that made me feel special. You know, there's always that one kid in class that can draw anything. I was that kid, and so it made me stand out in a positive way, in a special way. And I loved that. And I found it so easy to draw, and if someone taught me anything about art, generally, I would just suck it up. It's the only time I enjoyed education at all, was the art department. The next question is, what creative endeavour is your favourite? Sewing, knitting, cooking, painting, drawing, all of the above, I feel. And I've written here, just being amongst it and feeling that feeling of inspiration when inspiration strikes. The pure creative process of anything can happen because I'm present and making it happen. That's what I've written. And that's very much how I feel. I could be creative in the garden. I could be creative, creatively problem solving, or, you know, like cooking, sewing, crocheting. I love crocheting. As long as I'm being creative, I'm happy. What do you enjoy most in life? It's such a hard one, isn't it? I think swimming, being in water is one of the big things. Creating when I'm in that immersive state of just in the zone. I think we're in the zone. And spending time with my husband and kids. My kids being my fur babies. Okay, we move on to Crab Sketch. Now, Crab Sketch is written in essay.
Okay.
I think there is 12 questions in total, so
buckle up.
Okay, Crab Sketch. Legend. I love that name, Crab Sketch. It's amazing. What's your favourite bird, fish, reptile, insect, mammals, amphibians, dinosaurs? All of them are like that, so.
Buckle up!
Thank you, Crab Sketch, for your amazingly eclectic bunch of questions. They were a joy to answer, actually. It made me giggle. And I actually learned a lot about myself doing this. It was amazing. Anyway, I'm going to answer them in order. Bird, seagull. I love a seagull. Their little legs, they're so sassy. They don't take no for an answer, the British seagulls. I don't know what they're like in other parts of the world, but our seagulls are beastly little devils, and I love that. You know, if it wants your chip, it's getting your chip, you know. Hold on to your ice cream with 2 hands. Don't bother. The seagull's going to get it. Fish, puffer fish. I love a pufferfish. Do you love it? It's just like very long with his little like bulbous body and its tiny little fins, and then I feel like I'm a pufferfish, just a very slow one with all the biscuits I'm eating. Reptile, snake, obviously. I've got them on my legs, got them up here, love it. I think it's the colours, the forms, you know, the way it kind of slithers over different terrains. And have you ever seen a big like python go up a pole? I love that. It fascinates me every time. Watch it. If you haven't seen it, Google it, watch it. Not if you've got a fear of snakes, then don't watch it. But if you don't, then watch it. Insect, butterfly. My mum and my sister have butterflies. It's our kind of thing that we have, so love a butterfly. Mammals, dogs, obviously. Love them. Love them. Amphibians. The grinning amphibian. Love it. The cutest thing in the world, right? Just delightful. And that is just goals, isn't it? It's just goals. Like emotional goals. Love it. Dinosaur. Okay, we're going to need to wait 1 minute. I can't pronounce. Right, translate. Right, okay. Are you listening?
Ankylosaurus.
Ankylosaurus. This thing. Do you know what it is, right? It reminds me of those instruments that it's like a dish and you bum, 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 bum. Do you know, I imagine that if I was to get like a wooden stick and like glide it over its back, it would make the most amazing noise and I'd make music and would be friends and dancing and jungle. What's your favourite candy? Crisps. Crisps I've answered twice because I'm assuming you're American and I am, or chips. Yeah, what's your favourite candy? Chips, meal, cheese, herb and tea. Love it. Okay, so, but candy, I'm going to say Cadbury chocolate bar. Love it. Chips is going to be McDonald's for like fries. And I'm also going to answer it as if it was crisps. I'm going to say prawn cocktail discos. So there's two there. You've got two there. Meal, Wagamama or steak from Miller and Carter. Love that. Wagamama is Japanese food. Love Japanese food. It's one of my favourite cuisines. I can't tell you. The miso soup with pickles. Cheese, it's got to be Stilton. I love Stilton. We've always got Stilton or blue cheese, something of that nature in the fridge at all times. Herb, got to be coriander, or for your Americans, cilantro. Love coriander. We had chimichurri sauce at our wedding, so we love it. Tea, Yorkshire tea, gold specifically, but I have decaf now because I can't be on any caffeine. So yes, Yorkshire decaf tea is my favourite. Okay, next, what are your thoughts on exhibitions, art markets, competitions, museums, any experience of these? I have experience with all of the above. I've curated and exhibited a couple of times. I have had art markets, I have done competitions, and I've curated and worked in museums. And although I loved them all and they were amazing experiences, they're also different. You know, curating, I loved curating, as I mentioned at the beginning of this Q&A, love it. There's just something so collective. I love working with other people, like-minded people. I don't so much like working with egotistical artists. I will give you a swift chuff off if you are one of those, because it's just no value to be had in your own vision, right? Because you don't get anywhere without other people, right? You need other people to get anywhere. And I love that symbiotic relationship. And I had my own art space. I created that in 2012 when I was in my second year. It was the end of my second year, coming into my third year of my bachelor's degree. It was called New Red Studios and I loved it. I opened it with 4 other artists. And I left because of creative differences, and also I had a full-time job at that point because I ran out of money, so I had to get like a job, and I also met my husband then as well in 2014. So yeah, it's been a lot. New Red Studio is probably one of my most successful things that I've done, in as much as I look back now and think, oh my god, I can't believe you went and did that. But it was amazing and I just loved it so much. Okay, it doesn't exist by the way anymore. It was dismantled. I think it was only 2 artists left by the end, and they do it anymore. Yeah, they gave it up a few years ago now. Okay, next, let's move on. What is your favourite plant? tree flower gemstone. My favourite plant is a black lace plant. I have one in my garden now, and I'll more than likely buy another for my new garden. I love it. There's just the shapes, the textures, love it. My favourite tree is a birch tree. I love the way the light hits it, like moonlight can hit birch tree, light them up if you're on a night walk and things. And also the silvery textures are just yummy to draw and observe, and I really enjoy that. Flower is roses. I think it's the rose of love, and the smell. I love the smell of roses, rose petals, anything like that. I absolutely adore the smell of roses. And gemstones, I've picked 3. One of which might not actually be a gemstone, but I'm throwing it in anyway. Opal, black onyx or black onyx, and amber. Love it. What is your best video and your worst video? Best performing video is called Acrylic Ink is the Shizzle. That has just been so popular, and I literally have no idea why. It's got over 10,000 views, and I'm so proud of it. It's one of my best videos. Worst video. There is a video that I'll link somewhere up here. It's basically an 11-minute video. It's a video that I'd done mid YouTube career, so about a year ago. It was 11 minutes long, and the footage was like 2 hours. I created it on the back of following the formula that other YouTubers, successful YouTubers, swore by about how to make videos more successful and all this, that and the other, and more consumable. But what I didn't take into consideration is this community, the creative and arts community, is a very different, very distinct community with very distinct requirements and what they enjoy. And then when I realised how much of a flop it was and the feedback that I inevitably got from that video, I understood that in that instance. That's the day I decided to throw away all of the whole let's study YouTube and how to break it, let's study this to make it, let's do the analytics. It was just the time where I just went, you know what, I'm out of my depth with all that. There's no value in that for me, and I haven't got the time for it. So all that out the window, gone. That's my worst video. And what gear do I use to bring the videos together? I use iMovie and Patience. iMovie is just part of obviously my iMac, my Apple Mac. It's good, it's simple, it is what it is. Sometimes it chuffs up, sometimes it goes all clunky. It's kind of clunky sometimes, but it does the job for me. I'm a massive technophobe, which most of you know. Me and technology, we don't mix. I'm a lot better than I used to be. Sophie will even tell you that, but that's why I have a Sophie in the first instance. She helps me with a lot of that and teaches me so much. So I'm so grateful for her. It's unreal. I have thought about going over to DaVinci, which is another free software. It's so like editing software, but my schedule's so tight, and there never seems to be the right time to make the plunge and actually just start playing with it. I could do, but at the moment I just don't have any spare time to dedicate to, you know, relearning a whole new set of software situation. I can't do it. Okay, what's your favourite brand? Yeah, brand/store. Of the following: art supplies, clothing, supermarket, shoes, furniture. Okay, right, let's do art supplies. Jackson Art, Cass Art, and Skipton Art Shop. Skipton Art Shop you might not know of, but it's so cheap, so affordable, love it. Clothing, ASOS and H&M. I know it's a conglomerate and I know it's part of fast fashion, I apologise, but I do like their stuff. Supermarket, Waitrose. I know, posh. The thing is, I love Japanese cuisine, I love very specific Asian cuisines, very specific dishes, which you can gather will require very specific ingredients, right? Waitrose has every single ingredient you could possibly imagine. It doesn't matter how ludicrous or outlandish it is. They'll have it. Shoes, Doc Martens, Converse, and obviously Crocs. Love them. They're comfortable, they're sturdy, they last a lifetime, and I'm talking about all 3, by the way. And, you know, you can wear all 3 all year round. Love it. Furniture. HomeSense is the same, I can't remember, it's part of the TK Maxx brand, or TJ Maxx in America. Love HomeSense. I used to work for HomeSense, loved it. Dunelm, Tika Moon, and H&M. That's where I kind of get all my furniture and homeware stuff. What schools did you go to? I can't remember what my primary or nursery was. I remember where they were, I just can't remember what they were called. But so my secondary school was Fisherton Manor, and I really enjoyed it. I remember the smells, and I just remember walking the hallways of that. And I researched it, and I found the door to the art room. Oh, I love that. And I remember seeing a picture of a very creepy animal that me and my friend at the time found. His name was Miles Bilton, and we found it in an animal book. We were sat right at the back of the class, obviously, and behind us was books, and we pulled this book out, and it had this really weird animal in, and we laughed about it for literally, I remember laughing so hard, you know, when you couldn't breathe. And it always sticks in my mind that. And I also remember asking the art teacher, what do I need to become an art teacher? I remember that. And that was in that classroom as well. My next school was Westwood St Thomas. I know, slightly dodge. It was like it was like built in the middle of an estate. It wasn't the best school. In fact, it was so bad that I had to turn into an academy. So anyone who knows the UK educational system will understand what that means. Yeah. Terrible place. What jobs did you have? So jobs, retail mainly, all manner of retail, clothing, homeware, books, hardware like tools and stuff, jewellery, all of it. Apparently my customer service was really good until it wasn't. What were you like as a child? So I asked my mother and she said the following: feisty, creative, very independent, outgoing and friendly. Oh, she also said that, you know, I need to put in the word whingy. Apparently I used to whinge a lot. That is a crucial part of what I was like as a child. Do you want kids? Okay, so I will answer this question. I have no problem in answering this question at all. It's not a secret. I'm not ashamed of it or anything. But what I'm going to ask all of you is that listen to my answer first and refrain from giving me any advice, you know, about how great science is and how far we've come and what have you considered this. Don't do any of that. I don't need anyone's advice on this matter. I'm happy to tell you all, but I want it to be very clear, and I'll be very, very clear of our situation. In turn, you'll understand that we have no option, okay? So let's get down to the real tea. In 2016, my husband and I realised that we weren't getting pregnant. We tried for a baby for about a year and it wasn't happening. So, like any married couple, we went to the doctors to find out why. It then transpired my husband was then diagnosed with what's called Klinefelter syndrome, or KS. It's a very rare syndrome. He was born with it, so there's no medication, there's nothing he can do. It's completely irreversible. He was born like that, right? One of the major symptoms of KS is you produce no semen, no sperm, none. So husband was out the picture, then we come on to me. Oh, well, you're saying, you know, I could try IUI or IVF and sperm donor. We did all that. We did that. I specifically tried IUI with sperm donor, okay? I had 3 goes and it was traumatic because the hormones I had to be on were extremely, extremely detrimental to my well-being and mental health. So we did 3 rounds and we stopped that. And I said that we had a word with the doctor, and the doctor said that, you know, you might find that it's more traumatic doing IVF. And I said, absolutely, I don't want that. I can't handle it. Emotionally, mentally, none of it, right? Judge me if you want. It's just, I couldn't. So my husband and I then decided, well, maybe we could adopt. We looked into adoption and we realised quickly that would not be for us. A few reasons, but more notably because of me. I think that due to my rap sheet, certainly of late, that I would not be the best candidate to adopt a child in my current state. And that's why we decided to be childless in the traditional sense. We have, though, got 2 amazing fur babies. We've got Winston, who's our boy. He's 6 years old and snores and he smells a lot. And then we've got Ruby, who is our little girl. We love her, adore her. She's an absolute nightmare. They are our babies, okay? So that's why you'll hear me call them children, kids, fur babies, right? So people might find it weird, but to be honest, I don't give a shit, right? I know that you might want to give me the advice about adoption. It's just, I can't stress this enough. Me and my husband are old enough and ugly enough to make an informed decision about what's right for us and what's right for our life, and we're happy. You know, we have one another, we have our fur babies, we are so happy, right? I don't feel the need to have a child. I don't feel gaps, I don't feel a void, I don't feel sad, I don't feel bad. We've been through that. We've been doing it since 2016. It's been a really long journey, and one that we've put to bed. We've come to terms with it. But one thing I will say actually is one thing we were looking forward to is reading children's stories to our child. But then obviously when we made the decision, a lot of what we were looking forward to was never going to be, we were never going to have that. It was never going to come to pass. And those were the moments, you know, that were quite sad. It's kind of like someone telling you, you know, you imagine, you know, your children's graduation or first day of school, and you know, this fictitious child that you have in your head, you theorize and you imagine, you fantasize about those milestones in your child's life. And then when we made the decision that it was just never going to happen for us, we had to deal with not experiencing those milestones. What we decided to do is create the children's book, and that's how the children's book came about. The children's book is actually dedicated to the child that we will never meet, and the idea with the children's book was so that we could be part of loads of children's lives in a very small, potentially insignificant way. That was our gift to children, other people's children, foster children, adopted children all over the world. So that's the ambition for this children's book. It's taken us 2 years so far, and we do want to look at publishing the book next year. I've got to get off my arse and start illustrating it, which I'm in the middle of doing. In amongst everything else, we want to move first. The book is finished, it's written, it's just I need to start, you know, visualizing it, putting all the visual fluff in there. So sad, but then, you know, something positive came out of it, and hopefully we'll get it published. Some publisher or whomever will take a shine to it in the story behind the book, and it will resonate with someone. I love that. Do you dream a lot or not? If so, what would you like to share? Okay. Yes, I do dream a lot. In fact, I have extreme night terrors, ones that jolt you awake. What makes it worse, funnily enough, is essential oils, specifically lavender and eucalyptus are the worst. Those two are the worst. Do you have a religion or faith? I do. It's very spiritual in both practice and belief. My husband and I don't attend a church. We're not part of a congregation of sorts. In my experience, I have found those environments to be extremely toxic. Our beliefs are a personal thing that we share with one another, and that's that. I think I can't make that more simpler. I try not to get into conversations about religion and beliefs and stuff, because I'm very accepting of everyone's beliefs, but there are so many people that just aren't, and that have a lot to say, and it's those people that I try and avoid at all cost. What's your favourite person? My husband. Okay, what's your favourite artist? I think artists in general, okay? And I did write something here. In general. Oh, your battery's about to go again. Oh, bollocks. Is that it? Oh yeah, it's the M50. See you in a minute. Okay, where was I? An artist is anyone capable of conceptualizing an emotion, idea, or moment. Someone can express themselves using their imagination. Art is considered any creative work, whether it is painting, a sign, a poem, sculpture, or even a tattoo. And obviously, it goes on to say, favourite band, singer, guitarist, drummer, bass player, dancer. I would also include all of these people in the category. I don't necessarily have a favourite individual deals with all those categories, but what I will say is I just enjoy creativity in all its forms. I do get along with more creative people than just people that are more analytical in a sense. I like being around open-minded people, but before we get to woke. A friend for me, again, people who bring value to my life. Colleagues, I don't have any. It's just me, myself and I'm amazing. I'm adorable. Sometimes. A little bit. Whilst the camera's rolling. YouTuber, influencer, blogger, podcaster, weatherman, etc. I don't really have anyone that I would say are my favourite. In fact, my favourite person in the world is my husband. There we go. I think that's sufficient enough. What's your favourite artwork? Okay, my favourite artwork is probably the glitter piece. I absolutely adore it. It's one of my favourite pieces. It's one of my most successful pieces. Every time I see it, it just reminds me of what I'm actually capable of. Reminds me that I need to push harder within my practice and that I need to be more ballsy about how I use the materials I do. That has probably been one of my most successful pieces for me. It also goes on to say, of yourself and others. Okay, others. So there are a couple of pieces here actually that I've written down. Piece number 1 is Ai Weiwei's Sunflower Seeds. I saw that at the Tate Modern. It was amazing. The sunflower seeds, if you don't know. So sunflower seeds evoke a warm and personal memory for the artist, who recalls that while he was growing up, even the poorest in China would share sunflower seeds as a treat amongst friends. The piece was also created by a group of people. It took such a long time to do. All of those sunflower seeds are ceramic. I think they might even be porcelain, handmade and hand painted. The significance of that piece in its making and its subsequent displaying is such a beautiful, raw and honest account of the artist's life, and I love that. And being amongst it was just a surreal experience. The second most amazing experience was Mark Rothko's. It's untitled and I think it's called Black and Blue Paintings. So when I viewed this again, it was at Tate Modern. It was when I was living in London at the time, and I walked into, it was a retrospective of his, and the untitled blue and black paintings were in a single room. You walked in the room and there was a little bench, and you sat on the bench and you were just immersed by these very imposing, almost dark matter type situations that felt like black holes. These were painted in and around the same time that unfortunately the artist took his life. It's a reminder, I think, of how close a lot of artists are to the edge. And it's the price they pay for just beauty, I think. The torment was tangible with those pieces, I felt. That's what resonated with me anyway. Mark Rothko sought to make paintings that would bring people to tears. Quote, "I'm interested only in expressing basic human emotions, tragedy, ecstasy, doom, and so on," he declared. And the fact that a lot of people break down and cry when confronted, highlighted word, with my pictures show that I can communicate those basic human emotions. And he did very successfully for many years. And he didn't just evoke those emotions. He did a series of what he called the Seagram murals, and they were originally commissioned for a restaurant or a cafe, or it was an eatery of some sorts, and they were created and displayed in such a way that he wanted to make the patrons feel and be physically sick. So that's enough of that. So there's Mark Rothko. Okay, Diddly Doodah. 2 questions from Diddly Doodah. What would you want your art channel to be remembered for? This was a really, really lovely question, actually. Okay, so what I've said is building a community like no other. One that people like us deserve, one that is fearless. And I think that we are very much a community that is fearless. I feel that we deserve each other, in that a lot of us would have experienced immense bouts of loneliness, I fear. Being misunderstood is definitely something I've experienced, and always feeling outside of it all. By choice in some instances, but in other instances not by choice, you know, so I don't feel that way anymore. That's what I mean when I say about this channel, I'll never be lonely, because that's how I feel. That's how I felt for many years. Even when I was at art school, I did feel like I could never keep up. I was very successful in art school, don't get me wrong. I didn't leave without honours. I left with honours. I left my masters with a distinction, I got top of the class, but I still felt like I had imposter syndrome. And I also felt that I was trying to be something I wasn't. You know, that's only really occurred to me in the last couple of years, actually. This channel and you guys and the people within the community has allowed me to be completely myself, no apologies needed. And I want to create that feeling for others. And I hope that that's what we've created here, and that other people feel the same way. So that's what I want to be remembered for. Do you / would you enter work into competitions, exhibitions? Yeah, I would. Like I said earlier, I will be entering into some competitions and exhibitions hopefully next year. I'll see what happens with these oncoming projects. I intend those to almost guide me there, but if not, it is something that's definitely on the to-do list. I really do want to start branching out and making shit happen. Okay, so that's Diddly Doodah. Thank you so much for commenting. Liz, we've got Liz's question. What medium and art style would you least be interested to work in and why? Medium, I'm going to say oil paints. Now, I love the mess, right? But this type of mess is like, there's no going back mess. When acrylics dry, that's fine. But oil paints take a while to dry. They can be quite toxic as well. The things you need to use and manipulate in the cleaning and the process is all very toxic as well. You know, the cleaning method with turpentine, white spirit, all that sort of stuff needs to be put in a separate bin because it's combustible and all that. It's just a lot of admin. Now, I love oil paints and I love the texture, but I work in such a way that I cannot wait for drying and I just can't be bothered. And I sometimes do think, oh, shall I get myself a little set? But I know I'll regret it instantly. I know I will. The smell, I like the smell. I love the smell of linseed oil. They evoke some beautiful memories of art school for me when you used to go through the painting department. You could just smell it rich in the air. And when I've seen some artworks that have been rendered in oil paints, I'm like, oh my God, that is beautiful. And it's very distinctive medium to work in. But the admin, I can't be bothered. I'm such a mess as it is, you know. At least with acrylic paint, I can get it off. Oil paint, this never gonna happen. Never gonna happen. What was the other part of the question? I think there was a 2-part. Okay, what medium? Style. Style. I think hyperrealism is something I wouldn't be interested in. I know how to paint and draw traditionally in a realistic way, but I'm not interested in realism or hyperrealism. And the reason is because I find it a labour of love and it's so therapeutic for some artists, and that's why they're so good at it, and the time, the hours. But I'm very instant. I'm very impulsive, I'm impatient, I am spontaneous, you know, so none of that screams. My personality and my fidgety disposition just would not be able to do it. It just can't do it. So there's the style. There we go. Therese. I would like to know how you got to where you are in your art business to be able to take the plunge into doing it for a living. What worked, what didn't, what wise words do you have for us that are stumbling around in the dark but have the same goal? I think this is a really lovely question. I'm gonna hit you with some realness, right? I'm in the position that I am through a few factors, and I want to be very transparent about those factors. My dad passed away, and as a result of that, I received a sizable inheritance. That inheritance has allowed me to pay off a large portion of my mortgage, as well as sustain other aspects of my life. Do I live off that money? No, I do not. I do not live off that money. That money doesn't get lived off, right? But it enabled me to renovate this property and, you know, have some, you know, amazing experiences. I was able to buy the kit that I needed to start my art business, like my computer, my cameras that you're on, and my printer, things like that. That money has since been paid back by the business, but ultimately it's allowed me not to basically reduce my monthly outgoings, so much so that I'm able to live frugally. The other factor is that my husband has a very good job, and I wasn't well a year ago. I really was unwell, and I had to give up my job because of that. Not necessarily because I wanted to work this full time. In order for me to grow this business at that point, I kind of needed to take the plunge, but it was brought around actually not by me wanting to do it full time so much as I wasn't well and couldn't work. I will be doing, I think, a video on that at some point. I'm just not ready to talk about it just yet. So that's how I've, you know, been able to be in this position. And I know that I'm very privileged, and I know, and I don't take it for granted. And I appreciate my husband. Well, I appreciate my husband anyway, but he is the breadwinner, and there's nothing in this world that I will ever be able to do to repay him and his continuous generosity. But that's not just like the money and the finances. He also supports me mentally as well. So he's just been amazing. So that's how I came to today, all right, that how I started working full time, all right. So I want to be very transparent about that. Let's move on to another aspect of the question. What worked, what didn't? So when I started, I thought, right, well, I'm going to not sit around idle. I'm going to put all my efforts, all the energy that I had left was going to go towards the channel, building the website, was creating work, defining myself as an artist, you know, working on my confidence enough to sort of feel confident in my artwork, to sell it. All the things, all that sort of stuff that we all go through. That was a journey, and it's a journey that I'm still on. But it allowed me to be able to go, right, this is it. This is what I'm doing. I'm never giving up. I'm going to do it. I've got an opportunity here that if I was to concentrate on Patreon, concentrate on Sketchbook Party, concentrate on YouTube, build my website, build my community, that I would be able to go, right, this is it. This is what I'm going to be doing. And it's been a year now. It's almost been a year since I did this full time. The year will be in August. So August the 4th is the date of 1 year of being a full-time artist. And I feel I've achieved quite a lot. My Patreon is growing, and that will continue to grow probably through next year. I'll be creating more tiers that I've already hashed out. Like I said, I've got art projects. I want to do exhibitions. I want to do competitions. My channel is growing. I mean, we've got, at this point, we've got 1,600 subscribers, which is just amazing. And I remember in my first year of YouTube, I'd written like what I wanted to achieve. And one of the things I put in my first year of YouTube, I wanted to achieve 200 subscribers, and I far exceeded that. And then when it came to my 2 year, I was monetized before my 2 year mark. So, you know, it's just grown exponentially. And do I earn enough money to live off of without my husband's support? No, I don't. Any bills, so like I've got monthly bills for an accountant and all that to be legal, obviously. And I review art supplies and stuff. The funds come out of all of that. So the business is paying for itself, but I'm not receiving a wage. I hope that answers that question. What worked, what didn't? Okay, what worked, what didn't? Okay, so what worked, certainly from the channel's perspective, was being myself. Absolutely 100%. Any advice I would give anyone that starts a YouTube channel, don't worry about the white noise, the smoke and mirrors, the people who know best when it comes to YouTube, the analytics, all that kind of shite. Don't listen to it. People that say, oh, find your niche and do this and do... You have your niche is you. You are the niche, right? Because, you know, you have to be yourself because everyone else is taken. That famous quote. The other famous quote that I absolutely love was by someone called Hamilton, and it's be yourself so that the people looking for you can find you. And it's about the idea of finding like-minded people. And that is exactly it, and I love that quote. My first couple of videos were clunky. I remember my first face-to-face vloggy video were very clunky. I felt uncomfortable and it was all new, but literally by 2 and 3, I was in full swing, and I don't regret a day of it. Being in front of the camera is weird and it's odd, certainly for the first few times you do it, but you've got to understand, it's just you. It's just you on your own. You've probably done weirder shit, like in the mirror. But it's just the difference is it's being recorded, and you don't have to edit. You can edit it, and you don't have to publish it. You can delete it all until you feel comfortable. But it's difficult to overcome, and I know that. And I do not underestimate other people's ability to do it. It took me a minute to overcome that hurdle, but Jesus, once I did, it just felt like a weight had gone, and that anything and everything was possible. I felt fearless. I felt unstoppable. And that feeling supersedes any negative comment anyone will give me, or any backlash, or the trolls, you know. I don't have trolls per se. I've had a couple of dodge comments, but I mean, I've had a couple of comments that people have told me about I haven't even seen, because, you know, people can be very loyal and very protective, you know, when you get a, you know, horde together. So, you know, I'll be honest, I pity the person that tries to troll this channel, because no, idiots. Yeah, there is a feeling of euphoria. So I think that what worked, being myself. I can't be anyone else. Everyone else is taken but me. I'm just too far gone. Too far gone. I couldn't be anyone other than me. What didn't work? Listening to other people. That never worked. Listening to even my husband. My husband had said, keep your personal life off camera, which generally I do, but he's like everything and anything. And because I'm so neurotic generally and emotionally unstable most of the time, he was worried that I would be seen in a negative light, and that he just couldn't handle the upset that might bring about to me, right? But as time went on, I realised that people started to come to my channel as a way to escape, or as for a place to feel our kind of normal, to be inspired, you know, and all those things require a level of authenticity, which in turn requires a lot of transparency. Now, I'm able to be as transparent and as open with you because of the way you've made me feel. You know, you've made me feel safe and comfortable and accepted. And if it weren't for you in this community, I wouldn't be able to do what I've done today and talk to you about why we can't have children, and, you know, how I've been able to work full time so early on. All these little things, they're quite big things, they're quite personal things, and I get that, and I wouldn't have been able to do that if it weren't for you guys. But listening to other people, don't do it. You know, you can take advice. You know, I'm one for feedback. I love feedback, but it is my choice whether I take that feedback or not. Have I taken some advice? Yes, I've taken quite a lot of advice. But in terms of, you know, criticism towards things that you feel yourself is inherently you and how you want to be or what you want to be going forward, just do what you want to do and fumble along. And, you know, if you make mistakes, say, oh, that was a bit dodge mistake, you know, but don't dwell on it. Just keep going. Just keep going. Just keep doing it. Whatever you're doing, just keep doing it. And we're all just doing it together. We might be at different stages, but then if I'm here and you're just right behind me, I can say, there's an obstacle here that you might get. You might not get the same obstacles. You might not get the same trials and tribulations, but together, collectively, we can achieve huge things. What was the question? The wise words. My wise words would be that of Hamilton's. You know, you need to be yourself so that other people can find you, so that like-minded people can find you. You need to be a beacon of yourself. That is definitely rule number one, and probably the only rule, actually. Okay, last but not least, strudel doodles. I love that, strudel doodles. I hope I've got that right, because that is amazing. Favourite and least favourite colour. Okay, so I'm going to go with my favourite colour. It ain't happening. I'll give you the same answer that I gave Melissa way back when, right? It ain't happening, strudel doodle. It ain't happening, right? I just love colour, period. However, there is a colour that I don't like. My least favourite colour is what I've called in the past the colour of corpse, the corpse colour. I just feel it lifeless. And obviously a swatch of it here. It's just so goddamn boring. It's boring, it's lifeless, it's just lackluster, it doesn't inspire me. But is it grey? Is it a mauve? It's like a grey mauve purple, had a three-way, and basically birthed corpse colour. But that is the end of the Q&A. We've been here for a while. We have taken a journey together. I hope that I've answered your questions sufficiently. I hope it's been entertaining. I haven't just been like a giant talking head, and the visuals have kind of livened shit up a bit. Thank you so much for everyone who participated. If you want me to do another one in a few months' time, or you have other questions, feel free to let me know in the comment section below. But it's been fun. It's been great, actually. I've learned a lot about myself. I would say that. I've learned a lot about myself that I didn't know, which is always weird. It's been very reflective. I've felt myself reflecting a lot. I'm gonna go because I'm getting like dry mouth, cotton mouth. I need a swig of my tea that's now gone cold. Rude. I need to get some lunch because I've been sat here for 2.5 hours. I know, I chat for England. Chat for England. Anyway, I love you guys so much. I'll speak to you soon. And yeah, keep out of trouble. Mwah.